welcome back. If you're just joining us today, we are celebrating one of Kenya's veteran journalists who has been writing about the Kenyan arts since 1974. That's approximately about 46 years. Before we went on a break, Margaretta recounted to us how she got into the country and actually into journalism. Now we get deeper. I'm sure you have already seen her complexion, and you know by now she isn't Kenyan.
Yes, I agree. I'm not Kenyan, and I can't fake it. I mean, it's rather conspicuous. Yes, I'm originally from U.S.
Okay.
And my mother would die if I converted to Kenyan. But I am, in my spirit, I'm a Kenyan.
Yes.
My son is a Kenyan. Although he has an American passport because he got one when I took him when he was very young to visit the family there. But he grew up in Kenya, and there is a Gacheru. He does exist.
Margaretta arrived in Kenya as Margaretta Swigot. She changed her name to Gacheru after her marriage to Gacheru.
He was my classmate.
Oh, wow.
At university. And he and I were both very political. We read, do I dare say, well, we read some books together, and we were in a study group, and we were very political. And I love the fact, we debated ideas, and so I love that. And I was asked to be, shall I tell you this?
Yes, tell me.
I was asked by John Ruganda to join the Free Traveling Theater, and it was just 1 year old. And I said, oh, no, because I already saw that I was an object, this white woman, and all the stereotypes you attribute to a white woman belong to me. So I said, the people will just be playing with me and mocking me, so I don't really want to. But I was living with a wonderful Australian woman, married to a Zimbabwean lecturer, and she said, you must do it. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, you'll never have this again, do it. So I agreed to do it, and I was plunged into everyday Kenyan culture. And I had complications because I had already been in theater in the States, and it was very progressive theater, and people talked about a script. So when I got into the rehearsals, and people didn't talk about the script, and the director wasn't there, and his surrogate didn't like the fact that I was asking questions, I got in trouble with him. So the whole time, we traveled all over Kenya, and there was a Ugandan fellow, and as an actor, student, and Ruganda, who was also a Ugandan. It became very nationalistic, so that we were the outsiders. I won't go into the details, but there was a small plan by the one guy who didn't like me to get me to leave, and I just refused to go. I won't go into details, but when I got back, we had performed all over the country. It was fascinating. I learned all sorts of things that I never would have known about Kenyans, because we took a bus. And every day, the director would bring bottles of whiskey and bottles of sodas and beer. So on the bus, people would be busy getting drunk, and I didn't drink. So I wrote. And that's a long story, but when I came back, I was very disturbed about what had happened. The person I went to get answers was Gacheru, because the man who had a thing about me was his best friend. Yeah. And So he was, Gacheru was,
Stop being best friends.
huh?
Did they stop being?
No,
They continue being best friends.
they continued to be best friends, but there were other issues that, were among themselves. So that's what I loved. I mean, somebody who could actually have the depth of understanding that could help me. And you would ask, why did I enjoy staying? I was here 1 month, and students went on strike. I was in Kenya for 5 months when students were on strike, when I first came. And I had to figure out what to do. Well, one of my companions went flying all over Africa. They could afford it. Another one got a colonial white boyfriend who I couldn't stand. And so I had to avoid these people, and I hung out with Kenyans. And it was very enlightening. I read a lot of books. So I was ready, and I think it was really, I realized, I enjoy being with people who are intelligent.
Well,
And what,
if that's what got you to Gacheru, I understand. At what point did you guys get married?
when I got my job, and he had graduated, and I was in graduate school. No, I don't know if I was. We had a simple, it was a civil marriage. Yeah.
And you're still together to date?
No. You really want to go into that? No, Gacheru and I are very good friends. I'm so grateful. I love him dearly. And when I am in complicated situations, I still call him up and say, what does this mean? And, he assists. But there were just things that I couldn't do. I mean, to tell you the truth, we have one lovely son, but I came out of a very feminist background and am very independent. And I didn't want to lose my independence.
Says a lot.
I mean, as I say, I picked wife number 2.
And that she did not lose.
He's up in Sagana, and I go up there to visit and say hi. He married again, and he's got another family. Yeah.
But you're all still a happy family.
Yeah, we all were together at Christmas.
That's all that matters.
I know, it was so nice.
At this day and age, Margaretta is as active as ever, going to those artistic events, going to the office every single morning, and publishing articles about the Kenyan artistic sphere. But where did this drive come from?
When she was very young, she was taken to Europe, and she traveled all around Europe to all of the cathedrals and museums and whatever. She never went back. But, she had art in her house. We spent a lot of time in art galleries and museums. And I love my mother. And that was the best relationship we had when we went to the Art Institute of Chicago. And so I just, that was the passion. That was the joy of seeing and learning about art on the spot. And then, when I was getting my first master's degree, I took my first course in art history, and I loved it. And I said, I wish I had majored in this. So this is where, those are like the masters from the Renaissance, the Western Renaissance. Right now, I feel that we're living in a Kenyan Renaissance. What is happening in the arts in Kenya are very exciting. So, that's the way I feel. Not everybody feels that way or even knows.
Okay, exactly. Not everybody knows, not everybody feels that way. So what exactly excites you about the arts in Kenya?
Artists. There are many artists. And what is exciting is seeing these young people, And I, have the blessing of always encountering young people. And then, of course, when they get older, I know old people. I've been around. I've been here a while. But the discovery of someone, just the way I discovered, I can write. I'm meeting young people who are discovering they can paint, or they can sculpt, or they can write, they can act, they can do all aspects of the arts. And I write about them. And for better or worse, I like to affirm. I like to encourage. I like to promote. And some people will say, don't even bother. She's just going to say something nice about that person. And they really did a horrible job. And here she is, she's such a cliche. And I go, I don't care, because I've watched people grow. And I've watched people who are terrible at what they do, who 2 years later they come up and I'm going, wow, you see?
Indeed. I always have this notion that art has to be curated and marinated before it is consumed. This leads us to our Boss Lady quote of the day. Boss Lady quote of the day. People think at the top there isn't much room. They tend to think of it as an Everest. My message is that there is tons of room at the top. This quote is by Margaret Thatcher. What advice does she give to the younger generation that want to be where she is?
I want women to be confident in themselves. I mean, I've worked for boss ladies. I worked for Mary O'Kello, who was the first woman banker for like 6 years. And the last year I was her PA. And, I've worked for very dynamic women and feel very privileged. I've also worked for very dynamic men. But I think that Kenyan women are coming up fast, for sure. But, I don't want to go into all the cliches, because a lot of Kenyan women are very clear about what they want and how to get it, willing to be second-class citizens, to not insist on being themselves and doing their best at what they do, and looking for it, and taking risks, and trusting themselves. I think that's a big issue.